Hi everybody, today we're going to look at finding confidence intervals for population parameters with Minitab. We'll cover both confidence intervals for population means and confidence intervals for population proportions. Our first question says, a survey of 115 new veterinarians revealed that their average salary was $125,000 with a standard deviation of $8,000. We want to construct a 99% confidence interval for the population mean of a starting veterinarian salary. The first thing we have to decide is what kind of test we'll be performing. Will we use a normal distribution or will we use a t-distribution? And that comes from the information we were given. We were given that n is equal to 115. The 125 stands for x bar. It's the mean of the sample. It's not the mean of the population. And our standard deviation of 8,000 is the mean of the sample, not of the population. Because we have the standard deviation of the sample, this means we need to use a t-distribution. In Minitab, we hit Stat, Basic Statistics, and then we're going to a one-sample t-test. We do not have raw data, we have summarized data, so we want to click the drop-down arrow and click to summarize data. Our sample size was 115. We had a sample mean of 125,000 with a standard deviation of 8,000. We won't be performing a hypothesis test, so don't click on this box. But we do need to click on options to put in our confidence level. Our confidence level is 99. Then we select OK and OK. This tells us that our standard error of the mean was 746, and our 99% confidence interval for the mean mu has a lower bound of 123,046 and an upper bound of 126,954. Our next problem says you find the price of gas at 45 randomly selected gas stations is $3.19. Assuming the population standard deviation for the price of gas is 8 cents, construct a 90% confidence interval for the true population mean price of a gallon of gas. In this problem, our n is 45. Our sample mean was $3.19, but we were given the population standard deviation sigma that was equal to 0.08. Because we have sigma, we get to use a normal distribution. That'll show up as a z-test when we go to Minitab. This time, our confidence level is 90%. We'll go back to Stat, Basic Statistics, one sample z this time because we know sigma. Again, we'll switch to Summarize Data with a sample size of 45, a mean of 3.19, the known standard deviation was 0.08, and on the options, we want to change our confidence level to 90. This returns a confidence interval from 3.1704 to 3.2096. Also notice it gave us the standard error of the mean to be 0.0119. Now let's look at some problems about confidence interval for a population proportion. We'll start with a phone company surveyed 750 customers. 618 said they were happy with their phone service. We want to find a 95% confidence interval for the true population proportion of happy customers. The data we need to enter in Minitab is n equals 750. Then we need to know how many times the event occurred, and our event is a customer being happy, that's 618, and we're going to use a confidence level of 95%. This time when we hit Stat, Basic Statistics, we'll go down and select one proportion. We go to Summarize Data again. The number of events was 618. Those were our happy customers. The number of trials was 750. And the options, we look at the confidence level. It's already at 95, so we can select OK. In the Summarized Data, you can see we have our n, our number of times the event occurred. The sample p tells us our sample proportion. We often write that as p prime or p hat. You can see it's 0.824, which would be 82.4%. Our confidence interval for the proportion is 0.795032. to 0.850435. If you want to change the number of decimals that are showing, you can click on the drop-down arrow next to the table, go to Table Options, and instead of default, you can give it specific instructions. Let's say we want to round to 4 decimal places. Now we have a confidence interval that goes from 0.7950 to 0.8504. This time, a survey of 400 adults revealed 27% participated in bicycling in the past year. We want to construct a 90% confidence interval for the true population proportion of adults that have bicycled in the past year. Once again, we can see that our N is given. It's 400. But we don't have the number of times the event occurred, so we need to figure that out before we go over to Minitab. That means we're just going to multiply 0.27 times 400, which is 108. In this case, I got an integer. If you have a case where you get a number with a decimal, you're going to have to round it. Minitab won't take decimals as the number of times an event occurred, so just use traditional rounding when you go to do your calculations. We also have that our confidence level this time is 90%. So back to Stat, Basic Statistics, 1 Proportion. We're staying with summarized data, and we found that we had 108 times the event occurred, which meant 108 times people bicycled, out of the 400 total. On the options, we want to change our confidence level to 90. Then on the method, click the drop-down arrow and select Normal Approximation. Select OK, and then OK. And the results you can see are a 90% confidence interval for our proportion is 0.233488 to 0.306512.